Welcome to Startup Health Now, the weekly webcast that celebrates the changemakers and healthcare transformers reimagining healthcare. My name is Unity Stoakes, and today we are at Health 2.0 in Santa Clara, California, having a conversation with Ruchita Sinha. Ruchita is a director at GE Ventures in the healthcare group. We're going to dig in today to the Startup Health GE Ventures partnership, be talking about the new program, the types of companies we're looking for, and all the details around what's going on in early stage health innovation today. Stick around, it's going to be a great show.
It is the duty of leaders to lead, of the creative to create, of the daring to do. The free world expects leadership of us. Its fate and our fate depends upon our leadership. We are industrious, inventive, restless, with the fires that burn within us. But I say that nothing is easy, and the best things are the hardest. And all our troubles, all our immense difficulties, now and in the future, can I say be solved if we have the will, the courage. The future is to those who take it.
Ruchita, it's great to be here with you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Unity. It's always fun hanging out with you guys.
Yes. Well, we're here at the Health 2.0 conference in Santa Clara. Very exciting to be here. I thought we'd begin by learning a bit about you and how you got involved and started in healthcare and venture capital in the first place.
Yeah, of course. So I've pretty much done healthcare my entire life. So that's the only industry I've ever worked in. But having said that, I've done a lot of different things in healthcare. And
was there some reason, though, some sort of story behind what drew you to healthcare?
Yeah. Well, more like my mom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My mom always wanted me to be a doctor, and she talked about it, and I was pre-med in college, and then as a result, I never really thought about anything else other than healthcare and medicine. And then just before my senior year in college, I interned at a lab in New York at the Albert Einstein Institute of Medicine. And I just fell in love with research. And so then I decided to go into a PhD program after that. And then decided, that wasn't for me either. I really like the business side of things. So I've arrived at where I am today by really a process of elimination, if you will. But I just, about 2 years ago, I was working for Pfizer, and I was in an operator role and doing a little bit of business development as well. And because of my family move and my husband's career, we ended up in the Bay Area, and that coincided with the time that GE Ventures was opening up their ventures office. So I really came into venture capital by accident.
And this was a couple years ago,
This was about 2.5 years ago when they were really just getting off the ground and getting started, and Sue was building a team, and I spoke to Sue in the early days, and
this is Sue Siegel.
Sue Siegel, that's right, the CEO of GE Ventures. And I just was amazed by the vision she had for the group and how the group could really lead innovation for GE, the company. And so it was a no-brainer to come join the team.
And it's such an exciting time to be in healthcare the last few years. Was it what you were expecting, or how did it sort of jive with what you were dreaming or imagining the industry to be with how it's been the last few years for you?
Yeah. I've been through, this is, I would say, the second wave, of excitement, I would say, in healthcare that I've been through. So when I took my first job, it was in a biotech industry, and that was right at the peak of the biotech boom, the last one, in the early 2000s. And that was just an amazing time to be in Silicon Valley and in the biotech industry and see through some of the innovation that was happening. I think this time around, it's a little bit different, but in a lot of ways very similar as well. So I think the industry forces and the changes happening in the industry are much larger than the last time around. And as a result, I've been kind of an active part of this GE's effort in digital health and in healthcare IT and services. And that's been a tremendous experience, just to see some of the markets that are emerging, some of the innovations that are happening out there, and really bringing some of the learnings into GE. It's been an amazing experience.
And that leads me to, we have this wonderful partnership with GE that actually started around digital health close to 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
And we're just announcing our expansion of this partnership. I'd love for you to maybe talk a little bit about the importance of that from your perspective and GE's perspective, and maybe a little bit about what the GE and Startup Health program is.
Yeah. So this is the second version of the program. So just to provide some intro or background on the first version. So at GE Ventures, we are stage agnostic investors. And so we like to invest in early stage companies as well. And we like to identify and invest in disruptive innovations. The earlier stage we love to rely on partners who are really experts in identifying and coaching companies through the initial stages. And that was the basic thesis of why we partnered with Startup Health 2.5 years ago. It was really to join forces. So Startup Health's strengths really lie in identifying early stage promising startups and taking them through the early coaching and scale up process, right? And then GE comes in with some of the resources we have both in the US as well as globally. So we are present in 170 different countries. We have, I believe the number is 50,000 technologists around the world. So if you think of the really forces that we can join, and it equals 1 + 1 = 3, right? So that was the thesis behind why we started the program in the first place 2.5 years ago. And that was the time at which digital health was really starting off. And a big part of the partnership was also to jointly learn about this new emerging market segment. So fast forward 2.5 years, and the results have been amazing.
Right, there's so many great companies that have emerged from this.
That's right. So 16 different companies we selected in our portfolio. One has already been acquired. That was our Peggy. And 2 that have raised big institutional rounds, Series A and Series B, that we have participated in. There have been more companies that have raised institutional rounds. So we're very happy with the results. And we're also very happy with the learnings that we've gotten along the way. So digital health was new to all of us. So what types of customers are purchasing these types of solutions and services? What type of business models you put around it. Those are things that we've learned together as a team, and that's been a tremendous success for us as well. So we're looking forward to continuing that, and over the next 2 to 3 years with more companies. Our interest areas have refined a little bit over the years, and so the 2 areas that we're very interested in right now are payment solutions and virtual health platforms. And so those are the 2 areas that we'll be focusing on for the next class.
So what maybe let's dig into those themes of innovation, because I think they're both very significant, payment solutions and virtual health platforms. Virtual health, that means a lot of things to a lot of people, and I think it's very interesting how GE Ventures defines it in a broad way that I think is very useful.
Yep.
How are you guys defining virtual health, and what types of innovations do you hope to see, both in terms of that as well as payment solutions?
Yeah. So I'm going to start at a higher level first and then go into these 2 investment themes. So as we all know, healthcare is in a period of tremendous transition, right? And while that has created a lot of chaos, it brings forward a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs and for investors, right? And so we at GE Ventures are firm believers of the transition of healthcare to value-based payments. So if we look at the numbers, last year in 2014, there were 80 million Americans who had some form of capitated payments. And that is supposed to grow to 150 million by 2019. So that's a tremendous growth, right? And if you look at the active role that CMS is playing in all of this, so CMS announced earlier this year that by 2018, they want half of their payments to be value-based payments. And guess it was in 2011, it was zero. So there are some tremendous market forces that we think would really drive this transition. And we want to be able to partner with entrepreneurs who are building solutions and tech-enabled services to drive these drive this transition. And so that's how we landed up on payment solutions, which is one aspect of this transition to value-based care, and virtual health, which is another aspect. So touching upon virtual health first, when we say virtual health, I think a lot of people just jump to telemedicine.
Telemedicine, right.
And granted, telemedicine, I think Goldman just sized that market to be a $12 billion opportunity. Right. So that's a massive opportunity there. But our definition is a little bit broader than that. So broadly speaking, it is any type of solution or tech-enabled service that prevents episodic-based care, and also that minimizes care being delivered within the four walls of the hospital, right? So some of the things that we would put in virtual health platforms would be obviously telemedicine and e-visits, but in addition to that would be communication and collaboration tools. So this could be physician-to-physician collaboration and communication, or physician-to-patient communication. It would also be second opinions. And then it would also be patient monitoring. We would put that in
So like remote monitoring.
Exactly. So remote monitoring and some of the technologies that are being developed for chronic disease management that we would put within virtual health platforms as well.
Now, are you looking, first starting with the virtual health platforms, for technologies and solutions, and also interesting business models that may emerge around these solutions?
Absolutely. So business models are just such a key part of this. It's just not only about the technology. It's about who you're selling to and how you're selling and how you plan to scale that. So a big part of the learning for us as a team and working with you guys over the last 2.5 years is what type of business models work for digital health. But I would say it's still not set in stone. We haven't identified the killer business models yet. Everyone is experimenting with something new. And that's part of the types of companies we're looking for, is folks who are identifying new business models and are willing to experiment with business models. So not only do they have a promising technology platform, but they wrap a promising business model around it.
And for payment solutions now, I think you also have a very interesting way of categorizing the different types of payment solutions that you're interested in right now.
Yep. So payment solutions is a broad category, and I'm going to break it up into a few different sub-themes or drivers, if you will. So the first area that I'd like to talk about is claims processing. So if you look at the way the claims processing is done between providers and payers currently, it's very manual. It's paper-based. It's chaotic.
Yeah.
And there is so much money that is left on the table in claims processing. And we think in today's world of artificial intelligence and software eating the world, there is absolutely no way this is going to survive. This manual piece is going to survive. And so we are looking for ways in which we can improve and really make this claims processing very efficient, right? And so risk adjustment and risk coding is a key part of that. So the way payers are doing risk adjustment and risk coding is equally broken. And so we are looking for solutions and business models that makes that more efficient, that saves both payers and providers money. So that's one aspect. The second aspect, I would say, is really the payment aspect. So if you think about healthcare, just within the U.S., there's $3 trillion in payments really flowing between payers, providers, patients, and suppliers and manufacturers. And all of that is, again, super chaotic. the patient doesn't have any clue to how
They don't know the
payments
price
is
of
done.
anything. They don't
They
know.
don't know exactly. They don't know. I don't know what I owe to anybody. What each procedure costs. The same thing with the provider. I would argue a lot of the times providers just don't have everything in one place, right? And so we're looking for technologies and solutions that help this payment process become more efficient and helps the flow of money become more seamless, not only from an efficiency perspective, but also from a quality perspective, because hospitals and providers and health systems are being assessed on these quality metrics.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
No, you-
I forgot the third part, which I wanted to mention, which was the role of the consumer in all of this, right? And so that is a big part of as well. So if you look at the number of patients or consumers that are going on to high deductible plans, I believe that number has grown 5x over the last 5 years. Now consumers and patients are taking more control of their healthcare needs, and as they do that, they will demand solutions to not only give them more transparency, but also to give them more access into easy point of care payment technologies, as well as the transparency solutions. So that's kind of the third piece of it.
Yeah, I think it's so important to remember that the consumer and the outcomes component to this is often driven by different aspects of healthcare solutions that aren't necessarily the delivery of care, but if we can save doctors time and get them back to being able to focus on spending time with their patients,
Right.
and less time doing billing and paperwork and all of this stuff, that ultimately helps the patient, the consumer, in many ways as well. So I think that's a really important point. So, what are you looking for in terms of when you see a startup, when you see an entrepreneur, how are you assessing them? Just as a venture capitalist, what do you like to see in a great team or a company that might pique your interest?
Yeah. I would say there are primarily two things that I would say, broadly speaking, we're looking for, and I think the same goes for this program with Startup Health as well. One, at the risk of being sounding cliche, I'm going to say team, but I want to drill deeper into what do we mean by team and what do we look for when we say team. So the first thing within team is the team has to be a partner, has to be coachable, right? And they have to come into this partnership with us and with Startup Health as an equal partner. So we have to do the company building together, right? We are trying to avoid mindsets where entrepreneurs come in just for the capital, right? So that's an absolute no for us. We want to work with the entrepreneur. The second attribute of team for us that's important is a deep commitment to healthcare. And so we have a lot of tech entrepreneurs these days, you see, who come into to you and say, we want to build the next Uber of healthcare, right? They want to have grand visions. They want to build big companies, which is great. But we really want to see the commitment to that enough about the healthcare industry and how complex it is.
Because it's not easy.
It is not easy. It is not like the taxi industry, which may be complex in its own, but it's very different. It's a different complex. And so we're looking for teams that want to be in healthcare, understand healthcare, have that next level of understanding and insights in the healthcare industry. And that pretty much you can understand once you talk to the team and you kind of probe more on their long-term vision. Right. So that's the first thing. The second aspect I would say is really understanding how the business models work in this industry and having a laser focus on how are we going to scale this company and how are we going to get paid, right? So
do you think startups in healthcare should be focusing on business models maybe earlier than they would in other industries?
Absolutely. And so I would think there are a lot of industries out there where the belief is build it and they will come. I think healthcare is not one of those industries. You have to go in with a pretty good understanding of how you'll make money, because that is the hardest part in digital health, is not as much the regulation aspect, because you don't have to deal with as much the FDA or the clinical trials or things like that. What you have to deal with are issues of how am I going to deliver value and what type of ROI is my solution going to show to the end customer. So we're looking for entrepreneurs who have an understanding of business model and are willing to experiment, because just like we discussed earlier, there's no right answer in this digital health world, but you have to have an understanding of here are the 3 or 4 different types of business models that I will be experimenting with. So that's kind of the second big thing that we look for.
And what advice do you have for entrepreneurs maybe just getting started today in healthcare? Or health tech or digital health, in terms of, so one would be focus on business model early and really think deeply about that because it's important. What other tips or lessons learned or advice would you share with other entrepreneurs just getting started?
Yeah. I think the most important piece of advice that I'd share is think of entrepreneurship as really a journey. It's a marathon, and it's not a sprint. And in today's world where there is so much capital following all these startups, there is a tendency to focus very heavily on the exits, right? So if I build my company to XYZ state, chances are I'll get this type of an exit. And I would encourage a different form of thinking. I would encourage entrepreneurs to think more about, I'm in it for this long run. I'm in it to build a company that delivers a big vision and solves a big unmet need in the healthcare industry. And I'm going to find the right partners along the way that help me get to that vision. And the more you think along those lines, the more you'll focus on the journey, because this is one of the most important journeys you'll ever take in your life. And be very careful about how you select partners in that journey. So partners could be anyone from your investor to your advisor to your early customers, right? And each one of them has to add to your journey, has to add to your company building process, and that's how you should be very selective of who you let in on early in this journey.
Well, I can tell you it's been wonderful to partner with you, and all the startups we've worked with have just had a wonderful experience. So thank you so much. Just before we wrap up, where can people learn more about you, about GE Ventures, and about this Startup Health GE Ventures program?
Yeah, so I think more about GE Ventures. It's on our website, so geventures.com is our website.
And you're also on Twitter, I know.
Yes, we are on Twitter. We have a blog, so you can keep up with all our investments and all our developments over there. And then Startup Health Partnership, I think we are launching a microsite.
Yes, startuphealth.com/GE.
There we go. So we would encourage all entrepreneurs to check it out and apply at our website.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. It's been wonderful to speak with you, and looking forward to continuing the partnership. Thank you.
Thanks, Unity, and we look forward to the next phase of
Yes.
this partnership as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, and we'll see you all soon.